Elites are different from you and me, and it doesn't matter if we share the same religion. Ordinary Catholics learned that the hard way when they confronted the reality of institutional leadership that appeared more dedicated to protecting each other than the safety of their own children.
You can never whip these boys if you don't keep you and them separate. I found that out in Birmingham. You've got to keep the white and the black separate.
That's Birmingham Sheriff and Alabama candidate for Governor Eugene Bull Connor, explaining in remarkably lucid prose for someone with just a high school degree the principle of divide et impera, divide and rule, as Julius Caesar put it.
Empires divide to rule.
It's the way power has worked in human history since the dawn of civilization. You might even call it the world's second oldest profession, because civilization didn't exist before divide et impera.
I say segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. In Birmingham, they love the governor.
That's George Wallace running for governor against, it turns out, Bull Connor, giving the speech that made him the face of segregation and earned him a place in this timeless Skinnerd anthem. But what people didn't realize when he said that in 1963, nor during his 4 runs for president, nor did Lynyrd Skynyrd when they wrote that song in 1973, was that he was bullshitting them. Wallace started his career contemptuous of segregation. He viewed it as a relic of the South's racist backward past. Then he lost a race to a bigot and vowed never to be, quote, out-segged again. That was his famous expression. And so he adopted the mantle of segregation like a flag. However, by 1973, when Skynyrd wrote this song,
all of a sudden, he had an epiphany.
Times were changing.
He came out to run for governor once again. He won with crucial black support. Blacks had acquired political power. Now he needed them.
I made a mistake, and that's all pay in the past, and I'm sorry that I did that because it gave the wrong opinion of the kind of man that I was.
Only the good Lord knows whether or not he was sincere.
I've got my suspicions.
Shall remain firm to the very end. Keep Ulster out of the south of Ireland. No! No!
Another political leader who once personified racial division when I was a young man was this man, Ian Paisley, stubborn defender of the system in which men like Martin McGuinness and Bobby Sands grew up. Who knows what they might have become if they weren't born into a world that made them terrorists.
I want you to start treating these people for what they are, for it is in the prisons that we will break the back of the IRA.
And then, just as with segregation, the world changed. We all lost patience with the system Paisley defended. And suddenly, after the Good Friday Accords, turns out Paisley says he never believed in the system he symbolized after all. He and McGuinness got along so well they became known in Ireland as the Chuckle Brothers. In this 2014 interview with the BBC, he made this astonishing confession.
Places like Derry and Fermanagh, where there were nationalist majorities, the council was still controlled by unionists numerically. Was that fair?
No.
One of the things that was really a revelation for me, actually, in researching the book, was to realize how much Protestant discourse in Northern Ireland.
In Dungannon in 1963, there were over 300 families on the waiting list for a house, and no Catholic had been allocated a permanent house for 34 years. How unacceptable was that?
Unacceptable at all. So it wasn't justice at all.
Described Catholic Ireland in ways that are so similar to the way that I remember white South Africans describing Africa and the way that so many Jews describe the Middle East.
There should be, but that's the way it was. The whole system was wrong.
Ian Paisley, the Protestant leader, called the Good Friday Agreement, which gave Catholics political equality, he called it a prelude to genocide.
If you vote down democracy, you're responsible for bringing in anarchy.
And they brought in anarchy, and they set family against family and friend against friend.
I'm glad he finally got there, but boy, would the world have been different if he fessed up sooner than he did.
The only way you was ever going to get those Hindus to stop killing them Islams
It's actually Catholics fighting Protestants.
whatever.
And yes, we are telling you these stories because we believe, just as Beinart believes, that they are all just different riffs on the same game. A game that powerful people have been playing on the powerless since the dawn of civilization, when the first people we call emperors or kings convinced the rest of us to divide ourselves into native and foreigner, foreman and slave, field hand and house servant, all the while keeping us so suspicious and resentful of each other that we never worked out how all of us were being played.
Most politicians, they are selling their ideology in order to survive in power.
Just remember that when someone tells you to fear your neighbor or mistrust your neighbor.
Anti-Semitism may be ingrained in the cultural fabric of certain segments of our society.
Or hate your neighbor.
We've got people in our country who are calling Australia home when they don't have Australia in their heart.
It may not be because of the racist or bad ideas that they have in their head.
We've got people in our country who hate our country.
It may simply be the contempt they have for the ideas they believe are in yours.
Some really disturbing displays at the Oscars this year. We had Jewish director Jonathan Glazer use his acceptance speech to essentially renounce his Judaism.
They don't care about whether it's true or not.
Have our own political leaders and our own corporate media, have they not been stoking all these divisions all these years?
In other words, they may just be bullshitting you.
Surely, in the modern world, in modern Australia, we're better than that.
It was a Assange who said, never let anyone tell you who your enemy is.
There is one lesson we all desperately need to hear at this moment. That's it.
Don't let them tell you that people who are protesting a genocide are your enemy.
Don't ever forget this, my fellow Australians. Whatever side of this or that debate you might be on.
Thousands, tens of thousands, but probably hundreds of thousands of people in the UK who have no love at all for the UK, yet live there.
The enemies are the ones who are telling you that the students protesting for peace, protesting against the genocide, the ones telling you that these people are your enemy are the real enemies.
He was saying to white British people, you're not going to get your country back, and actually hate indigenous British people, hate white indigenous British people.
It's the same people that are calling for more bombs being sent to Israel, calling for war against Iran, calling for war against China.
I mean, the same people who are now pushing for an attack on Iran were pushing for the attack against Saddam Hussein.
It's absolutely shocking to see these deaths. It's absolutely shocking.
Remember that Captain Darling and I are behind you.
The judge suppressed for 10 years the names and addresses of a group called Lawyers for Israel.
About 35 miles behind.
Or fill sandbags, or walk you through physical therapy.
The world has gone nuts with climate change exaggeration, alarmism, and hysteria.
Does climate change cause these fires? No.
Elites don't owe us anything.
They don't give a shit.
When are we going to wake up and stop using this as an excuse to justify the climate change hope?
Just because somebody tells you something to win your support,
Bill Shorten wants to end the weekend,
doesn't mean they have to hold a hose if things don't go as they promised.
They stole a few elections, still we the people won. We voted out corruption, big corporations. We voted for an end to war, new direction. And we ain't gonna stop now till the job is done.
Whatever influences the decisions they make today, the consequences will be borne by all of us in the future. All of us together, neighbors, classmates, peers at work. When the floodwaters are rising, nobody cares who wears a kippah or who wears a hijab. Nobody ever asked in a bushfire or a flood. Remember that the next time someone tells you to distrust your fellow Australian, especially if it's a talking head on television or a politician.
We've got people in our country who hate our country.
Especially if the person telling you that is in a house you'll never afford, a neighborhood you'll never visit, hangs out in clubs where you'll never belong, or has a bank account you just can't wrap your head around, Remember who is like you and who is not.
Come on, all good workers.
The judge suppressed for 10 years the names and addresses of a group called Lawyers for Israel. If their identities were known, they would be subject to vilification and harassment.
So which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on?
It might feel far, far away, but we all have skin in this game.
We are going to be living globally with the consequences of the trampling of these norms for a long time, I'm afraid.
If I can give myself the audacity as a daughter of a refugee who wasn't even born here to challenge the system.
The enemies are the ones who are making money off of selling 2,000-pound JDAMs to a racist ethno-state.
You can do it too.
They're the same people that called for the students to be deported and arrested and their speech rights be completely shut down.
So is this Israel's war, or is it in fact our war as well?
It's the world's war. It's a civilized world's war. Hamas and their friends are Nazis, and we'll have to get rid of them. And the Israelis are doing a very good job in the beginning of that, but everyone's going to have to join in. We cannot live with these people.
Give yourself that confidence.
They're on the side of the rapists and the torturers and the killers and the kidnappers.
The funny thing is, us and the Palestinians, we have the same enemy. We're fighting the same fight.
Don't just comply.
Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on?
Don't just be comfortable.
And history, and this happened to people. It didn't happen to numbers. It didn't happen to just a large group, to large entities, but it happened to individuals.
Change doesn't happen when we're comfortable.
The West has spent decades creating this rules-based order, and it's finally been laid bare as a big sham. Those with power can do whatever they want.
You are still living with the consequences. How do you feel?
Extreme, guilt to think of all those men coming home off that green ramp and just dispersed into the world to fend for themselves makes me sick to my stomach.
Another one of our friends kind of came in, tripped over, and he unfortunately saw him say his last words. I was trying to find an entry wound, couldn't find an entry wound, but the exit wound, from my experiences, are always the worst. So unfortunately, rolled my friend over and I'm looking into his chest, looking at his heart, and I've got this scenario put in front of me, and I'm like, no, I've got to work now, So I remember when we were doing CPR, I was just getting mouthful of blood and spew and over you, on me, in my mouth, and but that's what you're doing for the boys. You do anything to try and keep them alive, and you just get a nasopharyngeal out, just to try and give some kind of airway as we're walking. I remember just
Hammer died because he tried to draw their gunfire for us to essentially achieve a break it.
All forms of racism are interconnected, and what this means in terms of government responses is that instead of law and order approaches, we support those that oppose all forms of racism, which don't create hierarchies of racism and which target systemic and structural discrimination. The Jewish Council is deeply concerned about rises in anti-Semitism in Australia. The only way for us to effectively fight anti-Semitism is by working in partnership with other groups also facing bigotry and discrimination.
It is incredibly powerful to see so many young people waking up, asking questions, young and old people.
The Empire did nothing wrong.
Asda will graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Biomedical Engineering, Molecular and Cellular Engineering, and a minor in Resistance to Genocide.
The liberal media is not going to tell you that.
You may not know this, but Asda is USC's 2024 valedictorian.
Shalom Aleichem.
things that I had. The world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it to me. Can't take it away.
It was Assange Corey said, never let anyone tell you who your enemy is. Don't let them tell you that people who are protesting a genocide are your enemy.
We've got people in our country who hate our country.